Throughout the annals of military history, accounts of soldiers enduring extraordinary injuries while surviving against overwhelming odds highlight the resilience of the human body and spirit, often bolstered by advances in medical care and sheer willpower. Research suggests that figures like Adrian Carton de Wiart, who sustained multiple gunshot wounds across 3 wars and lost limbs and an eye, represent extreme cases where survival seemed improbable, yet they persevered. Similarly, modern conflicts have produced survivors such as Mike Day, who endured 27 gunshot wounds in a single engagement, underscoring how battlefield medicine has evolved to save lives that would have been lost in earlier eras. It seems likely that the top survivors include those from world wars, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and recent Middle East conflicts, where evidence leans toward a combination of physical trauma from projectiles, explosions, and burns, though exact rankings remain subjective due to varying documentation and the complexity of comparing injuries across time periods. The evidence points to a pattern where rapid evacuation and surgical intervention play key roles, but controversies arise around the long-term quality of life for these individuals, with some advocating for better veteran support amid debates on the psychological toll. Overview of top survivors. Historical records indicate that Adrian Carton de Wiart tops many lists as one of the most injured to survive, having been shot in nearly every major body part while serving in the Boer War, World War I, and World War II, losing his left eye and hand in the process, yet famously declaring he enjoyed the war. Next, Mike Day's 2007 ordeal in Iraq, where he was shot 27 times and grenaded, but killed his attackers, exemplifies modern survival amid intense close-quarters combat. Joseph Briseno Jr., from the Iraq War, suffered a point-blank headshot, leading to quadriplegia and blindness, often cited as the most severely wounded American to live. N. Parkinson, a British paratrooper in Afghanistan, lost both legs and sustained brain damage from an IED, becoming the UK's most injured survivor from that conflict. These cases reflect how survival rates have improved from 70% fatality in World War II wounds to about 90% in recent wars, though debates persist on whether such advancements truly mitigate the lifelong challenges faced by these veterans. Instances of soldiers surviving multiple gunshots, instances where soldiers survive being shot numerous times, often involve rapid medical response and luck in avoiding vital organs. The most extreme recorded case is Mike Day, shot 27 times across his body in Iraq but managing to eliminate 4 assailants before walking to evacuation. Other notable examples include Adrian Carton de Wiart, wounded at least 8 times by gunshots in World War I alone, and Jacob Miller from the Civil War, who lived with a bullet lodged in his forehead for decades. In Vietnam, Roy Benavidez was stabbed and shot multiple times, yet rescued comrades, while in World War II, some like Audie Murphy survived wounds amid heroic acts. These stories suggest that while no absolute record exists beyond Day's 27, survival often hinges on factors like armor, proximity to aid, and the non-lethal paths of bullets, with ongoing discussions about how underreported cases in earlier wars might alter perceptions. The history of warfare is replete with tales of soldiers who defied medical odds, their bodies ravaged by bullets, shrapnel, explosions, and burns, yet they clung to life through a mix of tenacity, timely intervention, and sometimes inexplicable fortune. Beginning with ancient conflicts, where survival from grievous wounds was rare due to infection and rudimentary care, the narrative evolves through the centuries to modern eras where helicopters, tourniquets, and antibiotics have dramatically shifted the balance. In the Boer War at the turn of the 20th century, for instance, soldiers like Adrian Carton de Wiart entered the fray with limited expectations of surviving multiple hits, yet he did, setting a benchmark for endurance that spans 3 major wars. Born in 1880 to an aristocratic family, de Wiart lied about his age to join the British forces in South Africa, where he was first shot in the stomach and groin. Invalided home, but eager to return, his Somaliland campaign involvement saw him shot twice in the face, losing his left eye and part of his ear at Shimbaberis, yet he pressed on, undeterred. World War I amplified his legend. Wounded 7 times, including through the skull and ankle at the Somme, hip at Passchendaele, leg at Cambrai, and ear at Arras, he lost his left hand in 1915, famously pulling off his mangled fingers when a doctor refused amputation. His Victoria Cross came from hurling grenades one-handed during the Somme, and despite these, he tunneled out of a POW camp in World War II, survived 2 plane crashes, including one off Libya where he swam ashore unconscious at age 61, and even represented Britain in China. Wyatt's memoir quips, "Frankly, I had enjoyed the war," reflecting a stoic, almost cavalier attitude that masked the physical toll, though he lived to 83, a testament to pre-antibiotic resilience amid debates on whether such repeated exposures constituted heroism or recklessness. Shifting to more recent conflicts, the Iraq War produced Mike Day, a Navy SEAL whose 2007 raid near Fallujah became synonymous with surviving the unsurvivable. Leading a team against an al-Qaeda cell, Day entered a small room only to face 3 militants firing AK-47s from 10 feet away, knocking his rifle aside and killing one Iraqi scout while wounding another. A grenade exploded nearby, concussing him, but upon waking, he killed the attackers with his pistol despite 27 gunshot wounds, 16 penetrating his body, legs, arms, abdomen, buttocks, scrotum, shattered scapula, near amputated thumb, and 11 stopped by his armor, which fractured ribs and contused lungs. He then discovered a fallen comrade, radioed his team to avert an airstrike, and walked to the medevac chopper unaided, later explaining he feared being carried would hurt more. Recovery spanned 2 years, with his heart stopping thrice, en route to treatment, compounded by PTSD and traumatic brain injury. He retired in 2010 and authored Perfectly Wounded, but tragically died in 2023, highlighting the lingering mental scars that often outlast physical ones. This case underscores how body armor, designed for one close-range hit, miraculously held against 11, fueling discussions on equipment efficacy and the psychological burden of such miracles. In the same theater, Joseph Brizeno Jr.'s story from 2003 illustrates the profound complexity of brain and spinal injuries. At 20, while on patrol in Baghdad, he was shot point-blank in the head, shattering his spinal cord, causing cardiac arrests that blinded him and damaged his brain, leaving him quadriplegic, unable to speak beyond grunts or occasional words like "mom," yet fully cognizant. Tubes sustain his breathing and feeding, with ongoing issues like osteoporosis, bladder problems, and infections requiring constant care at VA facilities. His parents became round-the-clock nurses, turning him to prevent bed sores, managing his ventilator, and advocating for support amid charity aid gaps. Labeled the most severely wounded to survive Iraq, Brizeno's endurance raises ethical questions about quality of life versus mere survival, with medical advances like rapid evacuation saving him, but debates swirling on resource allocation for long-term care in an era where 90% of wounded now live, compared to 70% in World War II. Afghanistan's IED-laden landscapes birthed survivors like Ben Parkinson, a British paratrooper whose 2006 mine blast in Helmand flipped his vehicle, shattering both legs, amputated above the knee, breaking his jaw in 4 places, gashing his head, and causing severe brain injury with a Glasgow coma score of 4. Comrades performed life-saving procedures like a cricothyroidotomy amid delayed evacuation, and UK doctors innovated with nerve blocks and tourniquets learned from the conflict. Parkinson's recovery, detailed in his memoir Losing the Battle, Winning the War, involved honoring fallen friends, fathering a child pre-injury, and pushing through rehabilitation despite being dubbed the UK's most injured survivor. His case spotlights how conflicts like Afghanistan, with over 500 UK amputees, spurred prosthetic and trauma care advancements, though controversies emerge around government compensation and the waste of lives he later lamented. Warfare's tapestry includes Simon Weston, who survived 46% burns in the Falklands after his ship was bombed, enduring 85 operations and founding charities. Tyler Southern, a Marine who lost both legs and an arm to an IED in Afghanistan, yet competed in adaptive sports. And Desmond Doss, the World War II conscientious objector who saved 75 without firing a shot, surviving shrapnel. Civil War's Jacob Miller lived with a forehead bullet for 31 years, while Vietnam's Roy Benavidez stabbed and shot over 37 times, extracted comrades under fire. World War II saw high survival from extremity wounds due to penicillin, but disseminated injuries remained fatal. Statistical profiles from Iraq/Afghanistan show patterns: open wounds, 19%, TBIs, 30%, burns, 7%, with blasts causing 76% of cases, and survival rates hitting 90%, thanks to forward surgical teams. These narratives, drawn from diverse sources, reveal warfare's brutal evolution, from musket balls to IEDs, with survival often hinging on innovation, yet shadowed by debates on prevention and support. Medical studies note extremity wounds now dominate, 60% in recent wars, with burns and TBIs adding layers of complexity. and counterarguments highlight how biased reporting overlooks lesser-known survivors from non-Western forces. Ultimately, these soldiers' legacies remind us of humanity's capacity to endure, even as we question the conflicts that test it. Alright boys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support. Don't forget to smash the like button, type us a comment down below of any mistakes we made, or just what you thought about the show, okay? You've been watching Everything Weapons, your go-to place for the best weapons and military talk. This is a guys show. Actually, so only based men allowed. Sorry. No e-girls, never e-girls, not even once. Also, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss a video I post in the future. And check out my other content on the channel. Tons of entertaining content. This is just what I radiate. Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Take care.